Hello, my name is Bob Whipple, and I'm also called the Trust Ambassador. This program is called Building Trust and Unity During a Merger or Acquisition. So it's all about the acquisition process and how we go through several steps. But, unfortunately, many times they don't go as well as we'd hoped. I want to start with a scenario. Suppose you're at the airport and the ticket agent tells you in confidence that there's a greater than 70% chance that there's going to be a problem with the airplane before you reach your destination. Potentially a major problem, even a crash. Would you get on that airplane? You see, what's puzzling to me is that that's the batting average for mergers and acquisitions. More than 70% of them fail to reach the objectives that they set out for in the first place, and in fact many of them actually crash and burn. So I ask, why is that we have this problem? And I think one key reason is that before we go into one of these things, a merger or acquisition appears to be a very successful event. We're going into it with great optimism. And the reason is the benefits are pretty easy to see. They're easy to calculate, and we can identify them clearly. For example, here are 3 benefits that usually come to a merger or acquisition situation. First one might be increased market share due to greater reach. Second one might be reduced cost due to consolidating staffs. Third one might be new products to sell, just because the other company had a different product line. On the cost side, the costs are there. We know there's going to be some costs associated with merging 2 organizations. That's not going to happen automatically, and we know it's going to take time. But it's easy to underestimate those costs and the amount of time it will take. The reason is because many of them are hidden. We can't really anticipate exactly what they're going to be. It reminds me of this graphic. We tend to undervalue the problems and give more credence to the benefits because they're easier to see. Therefore, they carry much more weight. So I think one technique that can be helpful is to change the ROI equation so that we actually do look at the anticipated benefits. We can calculate them, get them down as clearly as we can, and then take and look at the cost side. On the cost side, there will be a lot of costs that are hidden to us. So take the costs that we can identify and put a multiplier on them. I think about 5. Multiply the costs by about 5. In this video, I'm going to use specific numbers like 5 or 3 for multipliers. In reality, you get to pick your own multiplier. Maybe you think it should be 2. Maybe you think it should be 8. Whatever you think is appropriate. The only caution I would guard against is having a multiplier of 1. I believe that shows an inappropriate optimism for the assumptions of the costs. Now take a look at the time that we think it's going to take in order to accomplish the merger. Take that time and put a multiplier on that as well. Say about 3. And finally, let's take a look at the amount of customer dissatisfaction or loss of customer contact we're going to have during this transition. Because when you think about it, beforehand, we've got 2 sets of customers with 2 different companies that are being serviced rather well. Now we're going to put them together, and eventually we're going to have 1 set of customers and 1 company. But in the middle, there's a great deal of chaos. The chaos will happen because customer service is unable to figure out who's on which team. The phone numbers may have changed, simple things, but all of a sudden the customer is not being served as seamlessly as in the past. And so you take those customer dissatisfiers and multiply them by a factor of 3 to 5 as well. Now we can go back and recalculate the return on investment. We have the benefits, we've understood them for some time. Now we have some potentially inflated costs. Run the calculation again and see if you still have a healthy merger or acquisition situation. If you don't, then you may want to go back and re-examine your assumptions. Another thing that we can do to improve the batting average is to appoint a devil's advocate. A devil's advocate has the role of bringing us up short when we're about to make an assumption that's way too optimistic. It has to be somebody on the senior team, and it has to be somebody that we trust enough to listen to when that person brings up some scary stuff. And it's someone who can keep us from acting like a teenager in love. We get so excited sometimes about the prospects of what we're about to do that we lose perspective and can make some serious mistakes. The devil's advocate is likely to say something like, "Oh, wait a minute, hold on, before we move on from that assumption, is that something that we really think is going to happen, or is it something that we just hope will happen?" There's a big difference there. So this program is over 30 episodes. They're very short, between 6 and 12 minutes each, to be convenient for the listener. But each one is chock full of ideas on how we can improve the batting average so that we have a successful merger or acquisition.